Why on earth would anybody feel the need to train a tree? We're going to talk about that today. Okay, so here we are in the orchard alongside the road. We got some trees, fruit trees, you name it, nitrogen fixers, berries, you name it, all right here. Fantastic. So what are we going to do today? We're going to train this tree. We're at least going to encourage it. Now, why would anybody even feel the need to do that? Well, going right back to the great Stefan Subkowiak, and if you haven't checked him out or his YouTube channel or his videos that you pay for, you might want to do it. Wealth of information right over there. It all depends on what you want to do. Like, for example, this apple here, it's pointing up. So it's very vegetative, okay? But it's not necessarily getting the hormones that tell it, hey, make some fruit. As he teaches, do you want a tree or do you want a fruit tree? So we want to train this thing, okay? And apples do very well. Now, another reason you may want to train it. Let's say you're working in a small acreage or small property, or you just have a small footprint to work within. It might, instead of this thing being like this, you may want it like this so you can space more things in there. All works beautifully within this plan. So, as I'm looking at this thing, I'm thinking, okay, there's 3 methods I'm going to try today. One of them I kind of invented, and the other 2 are things that you can buy right off the shelf. So let's go ahead and talk about it. This one here, it's pointing up. At the very least, I want to get it like this. But let's say we can actually get it down to here, and we want it to curve as easily and as quickly as possible coming away from the base. Now, there's some of these branches I could go ahead and train, but I know that later on this year in the fall, I'm going to prune them anyway. For example, this one back here on the back, let me do this without stepping on a bunch of strawberries. This one here, I know it's going to be leaning over into our hot wire over here, okay? Can't really have that. It might be all right, but I'm not going to do a whole lot to it. I am going to do a little just in case, but then also my neighbor on this other side has a bunch of jackasses, or I'm sorry, you might want to call them Washington, D.C. He's got a bunch of them over here, and I know that if I let this branch get too far out of whack, they're going to be snatching this whole thing right over the fence. And I can't really have it. Right now, it's already kind of close. We'll deal with that one later. So let's look at some of the things that you can buy off the shelf here. I got a box of them. And one of them is this little device here. And the other is this. So let's go ahead and try them out. I've never used these before. It just seems like it might be a time saver, but a lot of times when I see fancy gadgets like this, I'm always dubious about it. So you basically hook it on here. Let's try this one right here. It's a matter of trying to get it on there in the first place. And then taking your branch, you want to do this without actually breaking it. So I'm just going to go lightly. Now it doesn't break it, it doesn't burn it. It's not taking it as far down as I would like, but I'm satisfied with it. And the cool thing is as this tree adjusts to where it is, I can come back later and put something else on it. Now, here's the other device. This one I'm a little bit concerned about, so let me get over here. You're gonna basically stick it here, pull this, and like I said, it wouldn't be the first branch I destroyed. Real easy like, stick it on like so. It looks like it seems like it's working. These others, I'm just going to kind of play with them and see what method I want to use. Okay. So the verdict so far, I'm gonna stand over here where you can see it a little bit better. I can see the pros and cons of both of them. What I love about these blue ones right off, and like I said, all these I just got right off of Amazon. Didn't do a whole lot of research on them. What I like about them is at least they get them started, but they're not stout enough to keep it going. The problem with these others is that if you got a bigger branch, you're gonna have a problem. Now, a lot of people do espalier with hangers and stuff like that, and those are all well and good, but I'm going to show you a method that I invented that I think works better than all of them. This is a good, now, like I said, you can just zip right through this if you have a tree that's small enough or branches that work. There's not one of these that isn't improved, okay? But I want to make it better. So this one here and this one here, well, one of those is going to have to get pruned when the time comes. And I'm probably going to take this smaller one because it's looking like it may be a problem. Also, other branches you think are going to be a problem, I'm kind of halfway identifying them now. This one may be a problem because it's going to be in my driving surface. We'll just see how it goes. But if I can train it enough, it'll be insignificant. You see what I mean? So let's go ahead and get some, let's go ahead and use the old U.S. Army sapper way of doing some stuff. So I got some 550 cord, and let me go ahead and get the ends all squared away on it. Okay, so right off the bat, I can tell you this little plastic number isn't stout enough. Now, it is creating some improvement. I'll move it out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. It'll go up. It's improving it a little bit, but I'm not crazy about that. So I'm going to go what I call old school. It's my method that I invented, and I think it works best. I'm not saying it because I invented it. There are some cautions too, and we'll get to that in a minute. So this one I'm just going to take right off, okay? And I'm going to put it over here. Now, I got 550 cord, but it doesn't have to be that. A lot of people would use hangers and then tie them to the base. I'm going to show you another way. And it goes back to those homestead knots that we talked about before. I'm going to put a Prusik knot on the bottom of here, just here at the base. And preferably, when I do this sort of thing, it's always wise to use some high visibility cord. This stuff is OD green, so you can see the tactical error in that. But we'll just drive on. I want to get this thing, I want to find out without breaking it how far I can absolutely go. Okay. I'm going to let off on this Prusik because the problem with the Prusik, and it's not a problem, it's virtue, is that when it's under tension, it doesn't move. All I got to do is take the tension off, and I'm going to slide this baby on up. Right about there, I think, is where I want to be. And then I'm going to drape it over this branch, and I'm going to make myself another Prusik. It's all going to make sense here in a minute. So here it is. I got a Prusik here, and I got a Prusik here, but it's tied onto itself. From your perspective, it kind of looks like a loop. So here's how this thing works. I'm going to go ahead, and it'll dig into the rope that it's tied onto. So instead of using hangers and things of that nature, I'm using this string, which seems to be much better. And as it's under tension, it doesn't move. So I'm just going to figure out exactly where I want it. Right about there is what I want, okay? It's not digging into it. It's not causing it too much stress. And there is a word of caution though. When this tree is vegetative, like it is, it's going to grow. And if you're not careful, it will grow into that knot. So this might be it's not necessarily a long-term thing. Now, if you're really concerned about that, I'd want to put a stake in the ground and then do it that way. But this way, it seems very non-invasive. I can sit here and do everything I want to do. And the cool thing is I can adjust or lower it. Like, for example, I can let it out if I want to, or with just this Prusik, I can bring it in to as tight as I want it. And as long as this thing is under tension, it's not going anywhere. How cool is that? I got another one up here that is also not responding well. Yeah, I don't want to, I kind of snapped that a little bit, but it needs to be pruned anyway. I kind of snapped it a little bit. As you can see, that's what you got to be careful about when you're doing this sort of thing. Remember, this is a war you win in inches, not miles, okay? So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm gonna let it heal up a little bit and kind of tie it up there. But it needs to be pruned anyway for two reasons. Number one, it's gonna wind up over here among these jackasses and I can't have it. And number two, it's about 50% of the base that it's attached to, 50% of the branch that it's attached to. So we're just gonna leave that for right now. So as far as training, that's as far as I wanna go. This is gonna get pruned. This is gonna get pruned, so I'm not even gonna fool with it. So, and then later on, we'll make other adjustments as we go. But hey, This little trick right here, invented by the permaculture pimp daddy. I'm pretty proud of it. So the only thing left for me to do is basically go through, as I did all that, I basically try to do it all at once. I'm just gonna take my comfrey, as we've talked about in the last video, which is in close proximity. We're gonna lay it down for a mulch ring, even some of these weeds and stuff we don't necessarily want. Bam, so it's mulched and trained all at the same time. And by the way, if you want one of these shirts, go check out Kentucky Sustainable Living. I think it's a ballin' shirt. They got a festival coming up in the end of October, so you're gonna wanna know about that. So only thing left to do around here is not worry about what's going on over here, over there, but worry about what's going on here. So the tree's trained, it's mulched, it's ready to rock and roll. Think about these other methods, y'all, and think about whether or not training that tree makes sense for you. It may not. Let's think about it. This is what I'm doing. Training may not be a good option for you. It may not be a wonderful idea. For example, down in the food forest, I'm gonna have to kick back every impulse I have because I love working with trees. Every one of those trees is gonna grow the way nature wants it to grow. I will have very, very, very little involvement down there. But these ones up here in the orchard area, to be not only a demonstration site, but also showing the variations between the different methods of doing all this stuff. You know, you can basically take the dog to the hunt that you need. If you're in small areas, this might work well for you, okay? If you're in areas like I am where it doesn't matter, you may want to use another method. All right, y'all, no matter the method, I mean, just go out and give it a shot. Just be careful, take your time, and take the right dog to the hunt. All right, y'all, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Remember, if you need this comfrey I just put down here, rice knives, we got a bunch more. Bone sauce, world's best deer repellent that we put, well, I said we put them all over these trees, but I clearly didn't hit this one, so I'll have to go back and do that. All of it's at the website. Till next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see you next time.